If you haven't already, make sure you do download our app for free, now available on all your app stores. I'm joined now by Peter Walker, who we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, who has walked the entire length of the Pembrokeshire Coast National Park for a very good friend of his, Nick, his wife, Carrie, who very sadly was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, caused a lot of distress and discomfort throughout the whole family and everyone associated. And Peter was actually going to cycle from Land's End to John O'Groats with Nick. Obviously, this happened, and then he took to the Coast National Park for a bit of a stroll. Last time we spoke to you, Peter, the money was rolling in, and I'm so pleased you've raised a huge amount of money. But you were just, I believe, at the Castle Martin roundabout and making your way off. And you look like you were enjoying it, but quite the challenge ahead of you. I mean, how are you feeling now after completing it?
Well, yeah, it's good morning, Toby. Yeah, I'm feeling great. It's you always learn things, and I've sort of learned one or two things which if I did it again I would benefit from. So I suppose my hope is that by sharing that knowledge, if anyone else feels inspired, they won't make the same mistakes that I did.
And what were those mistakes? What advice would you give anyone that's going to be walking the Pembrokeshire Coast National Path?
Well, I mean, I took the decision to carry certain items which I felt would be of benefit to me, but which I accepted were going to be heavy. So I had quite a heavy backpack, and to overcome that weight, I decided to lose about 8 kilograms before I set off. But I knew that if I did that, I'd have to do it in a sustainable, simple way, which didn't disrupt my life too much. So what I did 3 months before I left, I changed my diet to eating one meal a day of anything at all, but the same as my wife ate. So there's no fatty side to it, just one meal a day. And the rest of the time I ate fruit and nuts. And that lost me 8 kilograms. My pack weighed 20 kilograms. So really, my legs were only carrying 12. And so that was a definite benefit before setting off. I actually lost a further 3 kilograms during the walk.
Wow.
The way I sort of structured the walk was I got up around 6 o'clock. It didn't really seem to matter how I did it. It always took me about an hour to pack everything away and get going. And then I walked until about 10-ish. So I got 3 hours under my belt, and then I stopped and had something to eat. And I did the whole walk on fire pot meals, which are handmade in Devon, and they're made dehydrated, so they're light. I could carry 5 days of meals at a time, and then I just added boiling water and rehydrated them and ate them, except when I stayed with friends who obviously cooked. I ate whatever they ate in the evening.
I mean, a lot of planning, a lot of prep, an amazing result, though. I mean, congratulations on racing. I mean, on your Just Giving now, £10,859. And people still donating. Literally, just a matter of moments ago. I mean, this money is gonna go far to the Christie Hospital, and it's gonna make a huge difference to where the Christie has treated Carrie, and it's just a phenomenal amount of support you've had with this, Peter.
Yes, I mean, I started the walk on this Sunday with our eldest, James, and actually we met a patient from the Christie who was on holiday.
Wow.
Walking on the Coast Path, which was, really lifting for that to happen. The sum we've raised is actually over 13,500 because we've had
Wonderful.
offline donations, which we've not been able to include until I think later this week. It'll start to show. So it has been successful. I'd probably quite like to round it up to 15,000 before we close the donations, which would be really, really good. And I think for anybody that is, thinking about losing weight or getting fit or whatever, either a section of the coast path or the path itself is a nice goal to set, because if you do drop some weight, it is easier to walk. You get lots of benefits, like all your clothes fit, and arguably it's a lot. You're a lot lighter, so it's easier, and you can set a goal of raising some money for your favorite charity. So there's a few benefits to having a crack at it. I've found that the diet I've chosen is really easy to sustain, and I see no reason to going back to eating any differently now. I think I'll just stay as I am for the rest of my life. I think the other thing about doing the coast path is that one of the things that when I was researching it, people seem to be saying was, don't bother with the sort of more industrial section. And actually, I found the industrial section the most enjoyable of it all, without a doubt, because you could see where you'd got to walk to. Once you'd got round the haven, you could see where you'd come from, which was pretty impressive. And also, you saw how clever the people are that are working on the haven, whether it's in a boat or on a ship, or some of the people that I spoke to working on dry land, where they'd, designed a piece of machinery. It had been made in a factory, shipped out to Milford, and the men were there then assembling it, ready to bring it into commission. And that's all happening in Pembrokeshire, next to, farming and everything else that's going on. And I found everyday life, and I found that really, it made me really proud to live in Pembrokeshire. So I'd recommend doing that section more than the others in some ways. Plus the history of the buildings, from the sort of defensible barracks in Pembroke round to some of the more modern buildings that you see. And it was enjoyable looking at the rock formations and trying to learn a bit about the Caledonian orogeny and so on. But I think the waterway there's lots going on to distract you as well, which I also found enjoyable.
I mean, it is absolutely incredible. 186 miles. You're going to see, some incredible sights. Sort of, what was a breathtaking moment for you that made you just go, "Wow"? We are the lucky ones to live here in Pembrokeshire and to have the only, national coastal path, in the UK.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I saw probably wow moments. I mean, I think some of the strata, especially by Cabourg, is impressive, especially when you think that it's all come from the South Atlantic, 500 million years ago. It takes a bit to get your head around, but that was impressive. I think that the wildlife, I probably saw 6 or 7 adders, and some grass snakes, and there's quite a lot going on. If you just take your time and look. Somebody said to me, "Oh, shall I send you some music to listen to?" Someone else said, "Would you like some podcasts?" I didn't bother to listen to anything. I was quite happy letting my senses, drink everything in, and I didn't really want any distractions. So that was another nice thing about the walk, was you just didn't need company. You're quite happy because you had the company around you with the flora, fauna, and the activity on the water.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, now you've completed it in a very short time as well, Peter. I mean, there was no messing around. You left early. What was your sort of final count? How long did it actually take you to walk? The
Well,
entirety.
I used the Cicerone guide, which allows 14 days. I could have done it comfortably in 12, but I stuck to the guide because it worked with different people that were joining me, and so on. And importantly for me, I'd had help from my wife, who brought me the second lot of food for the second week. And then, of course, when we knew we'd got one full day of rain, my feet were absolutely in ribbons. So I'd got real problems there. I'd had to take flucloxacillin to control any infection, and I was having to repair them quite a bit. And so that I made a mistake trying to do it in running shoes. You've got to use boots on the coast path. I now know that. So I wouldn't try that. I wouldn't try running shoes again. And so I managed to keep my feet dry on the day that we had rain all day, which was the Thursday, by wearing over trousers and gaiters. The rest of me was soaked, which didn't matter, but my feet stayed dry, which was important. And then on the final day, I was walking with one of our children and an old friend, and my wife and Nick, who was professor of oncology at the Christie, and his wife, who's being treated by the Christie, met me at Chemist Head, and we all walked to the finish together. And that was really a really special bit that we'll all remember for a long time.
I can imagine that being a very, very poignant moment of your incredible adventure. Peter, thanks ever so much for joining us here on the show today. Thanks for reaching out. We have loved keeping our listeners updated with your journey. It's been absolutely wonderful. And of course, you can still donate now. That's the important part, as we want to get to that £15,000 target. Check out the details now, purewestradio.com, or head on over to the Just Giving. Peter, it's always great catching up with you. Some much deserved rest now, I can imagine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would like to say actually that your attention on this has been second to none, and I'm so grateful for the help you've given me with the publicity and the airtime. So thanks very much indeed.
Absolute pleasure. Pleasure is all ours. You're the one that's done all the hard work, Peter. Let me assure you. Always great having you on the show. Peter Walker, we'll catch up again very soon.
Bye, Toby.
An absolute superstar, founder of the Tour of Pembrokeshire and walking the Pembrokeshire Coast National Park, all for the Christie charity, and doing it for a good friend of his, Nick, as his wife, Carrie, was diagnosed with advanced pancreatic cancer. An incredible man, an incredible effort. Absolute pleasure having Peter on the show. And you can see the Just Giving link on the comments section and on the website as well, purewestradio.com.